record these sessions, it will be uploaded to a YouTube channel that I manage that has all of the classes that I teach compiled there, as well as other things that you guys can leverage to share with your sphere. And I will send all of that to you in a recap right after this class is over. So there's going to be a brief kind of lecture period where I just kind of talk about some things that you want to be conscious of as you are preparing your website. And then the rest of it will be kind of a live demo where I'll jump into InTouch and we'll take a look at what are the key places you want to edit right out of the gate for, or I should say, to make the website very consumer friendly and help it become a aspect of your marketing plan that can capture consumers the way we need it to. So before we move on, everyone should see the slide hopefully up on my screen. I'm going to kill that in just a sec. And we're going to just talk about a few website tips as I go into my InTouch account. But before we do that, let's go over some of the things you want to be conscious of, right? What is your website? Your website should be the hub, kind of that central figurehead and space that occupies your marketing strategy. So the goal of that hub is this is the space that we are trying to drive all of your potential consumers to by using various collateral that come out of marketing arms built out of that hub. So what does that mean? That means your website is ground zero. It's where everything should be happening that notifies consumers not only about what's going on with your business, but what's going on in the communities that you operate in and what are things that you can share for your consumers in that space. And then the arms of that hub are things like your social media accounts, newsletters, or any physical collateral that you're sending out, any kind of digital newsletter or online, like things like Clients for Life, anything that kind of counts as an additional platform that you are sending out to your consumer with the implicit goal of trying to capture that consumer at that point. So whether it's Instagram post about your community or a tour of an open property or a newsletter going out with your Clients for Life, all of these facets of your marketing strategy are built to capture a consumer and drive them back to that hub where they can find out everything they should be able to about your business, not only how you operate, but what you're like to work with and what regions you represent. But it's a showcase of your knowledge base about the market as well as about the communities that you serve, because the initial part of these websites are already built to get up and running for you. The IDX feed, having them linked to MLS, and having a web search available that captures consumers and allows them to tailor and add properties and look at properties on a search is all built in out of the get-go. What you want to be thinking of as an agent is what can I do consciously to make this space something that has additional value for my consumer beyond the real estate search. That's what takes a decent agent to a good or great agent, right? What value does your consumer have in your brand? Is it just a page that talks about square footage in school zones? Because there's a million places that do that. Or is your website a space that advertises your brand and the community it operates in a way that becomes exciting for your consumer? I mean, these are the things, if you hear any of the coaches or any of my colleagues or any of the people in the education team constantly talk about content that is share worthy or stop worthy, these are the kind of things you want to think about, just like you would in social media, but in the same scope of your website. What am I building onto this page that will keep a consumer here and want them to share this information with others? Now, where do we want to think about consciously building that, right? I mean, I've talked a lot about a couple of different things, but if something like a marketing strategy or plan is fairly new to you, this is where someone like me or your local field marketing specialist will come in handy in trying to break down what best you bring about the business and what you find exciting about your business and how we can share that to your consumer and what that necessarily looks like. So if this is all new to you, I would definitely recommend you can reach out to me or reach out to your local FMS, set up time to talk about a marketing strategy and how that works in conjunction with your business plan. But beyond all of that, let's go ahead and look at the InTouch website and think about some of these key points that we can start to build right out of the gate to become great capture points for your consumers, as well as advertise your knowledge base in that region. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and we're going to dive into CB Desk. So as I do this, feel free, if you have any questions, please note them in the chat. If you open the chat, it'll pop up on either side of my head, and I will address them at the end of the session. I will also allow everybody to unmute themselves at the end of the session if you'd like to ask your question that way. Otherwise, please remain muted through the rest of this so I can kind of get us through this on time. Let's jump in. Everybody knows CB Desk. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to make this stuff a little bigger. We're obviously going right into InTouch. InTouch is your CRM. It's where not only your contacts will live, but again, this is where you have tons of digital marketing that can be created, and your website also lives in this space as well. We're just focusing on the website today, so I'm not going to really talk about InTouch as a whole. But the first thing you always want to do when creating your web page is come in here and we want to check on the My Account space. The first thing you're going to notice with the InTouch websites is the domain name itself is created to essentially be your first and last name .cbintouch.com. That is your starter. However, it is not something that myself or any of my colleagues would recommend be the client-facing website. And what I mean by that is this is where a discussion of domain name management and domain hosting comes into play. You would want to, in my case, I could purchase something as simple as anuj.com or anuj.chaudhary.com or anujisrealestate.com. Again, whatever the brand name is for my business, whatever we're investing in regards to this is the business that I am advertising to my consumers. This is the logo that's going with it and all of that. This is where that kind of discussion folds into that marketing strategy, right? What is the brand or business's name? Talk to your local FMS. There are multiple ways to acquire a domain and then forward it to this website. So you would still see this as a consumer when you get to the website, but if I owned anuj.com, then you could type that and have it directed right to your InTouch page. Again, it's all about client facing. What is client facing doesn't always have to be how things operate in the back end. Another great example is the external email. This can be changed, and all of this stuff is done by hitting that edit button right up here. Your external email is the one that if someone hits reply to anything that you send out, or if you're looking at your footer in any of the collateral you're creating, this is the email you will see. The CRM email is what things are sent from out of this system purely for tracking purposes. That's how you get things like open rates figured out, click-through rates, bounce backs, and etc. Always make sure if you have updated your reply to email, you come down here and update the reply to email to be your email and not the CRM email. Your call to action, whatever your tagline is, will also go right here as well. Once those things are settled, you can hit save and you'll see a section right underneath that for website. That will give you what you saw there. I'm going to go right back. Is an option to edit the bio summary as well as the full bio. Now, let's actually look at my website and figure out what we're talking about here with these two items. Because unlike everything else that you will edit on the pages themselves, in the actual edit site section, the Bio and bio summary are edited right here in the My Account section. So if we're looking at my website, what you will see here is one of the title cards that is given an option by default is a bio summary section. This is where, as you can imagine, you will see that bio summary that you save. The full bio, indicated right below, is what will go in the About section of your website. And again, this is not something you'll edit in the Edit Site section that we're about to jump into. This content is edited right here under Account and under My Account. But when you're actually editing the rest of the page, here's what we want to look at. Now, obviously, those are things you need to touch on first, right? Your bio is of paramount importance because if someone's making the decision to get all the way to your website, they're going to want to read about you. Now, our design team and Design Concierge creates great bios that you can purchase. They're built specifically with their online usage in mind. They will have keywords typed in that will help better leverage web crawlers in your favor. The real way to game SEO in that kind of a scheme is when you think about from a bio standpoint, you will have this full bio that you have developed, and that will get shared not only on your website, but is included on every single place you can create a bio for yourself. So that means your LinkedIn pages, your Facebook pages, your, all of our syndication partners. You can reach out to your FMS to get that list, but everybody in the Zillow group, Realtor.com, Rent.com, internationally with Kainju in China, you want to make sure you have your bio and your profile set up and that it is consistent across the board. Because that way, when someone Googles you, you have multiple searches being when a web crawler is scouring the internet, it's going to be able to pull multiple pages that it finds all of this matching information to because it all ties to you and increase the results around your own brand beyond just what you're getting right now out of the gate, which is that SEO boost from the Coldwell Banker name. Now, moving on, let's look at the website editing space in and of itself, right? You click on the website icon. Obviously, I went to View Site, which allowed us to look at it. But when we hit Edit Site, you're going to land right on this Pages and Menus landing page. And what you'll notice, these directly reflect what a consumer sees right up here. Now, the layouts can change, and we'll go over that in just a sec. But what you want to do is, again, keep these tabs as concise and as useful to your consumer as you can. You don't want to have too many because, again, when you think about how this looks for a mobile device, if you've got too many tabs, it'll clutter up the space. Most of our consumers are looking at websites on mobile devices anyway, and it will give you that preview. So again, the key to a good website, especially on the home page, is how concise and efficient can we be. And you'll notice you've got the menu items as well as subpages, and you can see they're distinguished by, in the back end, whatever is fully aligned to the left is a menu item, and you can see the pages underneath a specific menu item are indented, meaning if I go to resources and hover over it, you can see several of these, but the rest of them are just standard pages that will take you right to a location. And to move any of this stuff is just as simple as you can see when I hover over things, it'll turn into a hand. If you click and hold and move things around, you'll be able to see if I hit save, everything reflects in real time. I always recommend having your website open while you're editing things for that reason, because then you can kind of come in here and just play around with things as you do them. Adding new pages is just as simple as hitting that add button, and you can see a page will give you the option to create SEO title and meta descriptions. That is a whole conversation in and of itself. I have one of my colleagues is teaching a class exactly on that topic. I recommend you register for it in Sales Pro. It might have already happened, but if there's one next week, keep an eye out for that, but I digress. Menu items or pages give you the option to be really detailed like that. A menu item is something that will drag and hold right up here as a space to create a new page in or to host other pages under. Don't create a menu item and turn it into a page, because you'll lose that ability to SEO and meta tag the individual page. Link, self-explanatory. You can put the URL here and what the text will be. I did the exact thing for my YouTube channel. So if you go to resources and you go to careers, for example, you click, it will take you to a page. But if you go to resources and click YouTube channel, it will open up a new tab and take you to my YouTube channel. That is the difference between a menu page versus a link. Now, that's a really good quick overview of what we're trying to do here, right? But like I said, what do you want to do out of the gate for your consumer? First two things you want to manage: the home page and right here, community served. Home page is explanatory enough. You're going to click page, and then you're going to hit edit. And you will open up the page editor. You will notice website layout. This standard item is not movable. Every other tab, like you can see, this one pops up, agent contact card summary. If I click and hold, much like the menus on the back end, I can rearrange these to best meet my consumer needs, or what I think will best flow for my website. Once you let it go, it will relocate it where it needs to be. A certain number of these will already be made live, and you can see the pre-made cards when you click on widget. You've got the contact card, community served, featured properties, sales, properties, and testimonials. You can also add custom cards, which will allow you to edit content with an HTML field very similar to what you see when you're editing custom email blasts in InTouch. Looking at, for example, contact card. This is a great example to see, for you to see how editing works for these platforms. Now, the bio summary, like I said, populated from the My Account section. So when I click edit, what I can do is choose the color scheme I want. And I have accent number 2. I'm going to put a pin in that. I will show you where you choose your color schemes in just a sec. But as you can see, there are various options we can have to both include things or exclude the bio summary, or add different links, or add borders to your photos, whatever you would like. Once you hit save, that section will update accordingly. Same for the communities. You can choose the photo section, or you can choose a list, whatever you think will work best for you. Now, these photos, again, can change. You will have default ones pop in that are public use, but then you can upload your own to better reflect each of those communities. Once you're done editing any of these spaces, you will hit preview and save, and much like you'd anticipate, it gives you a preview. We're looking at the desktop site, which you've seen, but you can click right here and now see what your website will look like on a tablet, and more importantly, on a mobile device. And make sure that everything still flows in a way that is efficient. Once you're done, you must hit save. Otherwise, as you can imagine, it will not save. And this is a space, again, thinking about what can I do for my consumer. And there's a whole ton of elaborate measures we can get into here. But the basics you want to think about is elevator pitch. What can I do to sell myself and who I am to a consumer in a paragraph or less? Plus, this is a great spot to include an introduction video, something that talks about you, your connection to your community, a little bit about who you are and that character you're trying to sell and advertise, and why that's important for your consumer, right? The product we are advertising is you, the agent. And things like listings are ways to bolster the advertising that we do for you. But you very much want to think about these spaces as a way to advertise 3 things: the character, the persona that you are sharing with your consumers, the knowledge base that you have about the market and the community, and the resources at your disposal by working with your business and the partnership with Coldwell Banker and what that gives your potential consumer, right? Find ways to take the big we of Coldwell Banker and distill it to the you that is the agent. Homepage, definitely the first place to get started. Outside of that, communities served. This is a section, and when you look at it from a consumer standpoint, is what allows you to advertise that second part of those three legs, your market knowledge and your connection to that community. So if we look at what I've done here, you've got sections where you can add text, images, and then again, home data will populate based on the boundaries that you're including for that property. And when a consumer then clicks on that search, they'll be able to see things. And again, everything will maintain branded to you, keeping you in the forefront. And then there's more than enough ways to get a consumer to sign up and register with your site, and you get to capture that potential lead. But what do you want to think about here, right? What is the conscious way to edit these? So you want to take the community that you're working on, and again, calendar these out, schedule them out, create a workflow, and then build each, whatever works best for you, whether it's monthly or quarterly, to work on these sections. What you'll notice is, again, you want to give the community a name. If you check this box, it will make that community one of the ones featured up here as a clickable image versus just leaving the list down here. The areas. Now, this is where the boundaries for what properties are going to be included in this information right here. And there's two ways to go about it. You can either add zip codes to create that region, or you can draw it on the map. So if you're using like let's say you wanted to also have Highway 68 corridor in there, you can draw what that looks like on the map, and then everything within the boundary of what you're drawing will be included in that search. Otherwise, you can just go and type in as many of the zip codes as you need for that region. The community summary and description, as you can see, will lay out like this. You can upload 3 images for a community. The first one, as you see down here under community images, will always populate right behind the community summary. The other 2 will populate right below the description to separate the properties information from your content that you're adding in the community description field. This is a space, again, where you can think about, like, talk to your field marketing specialist and develop a marketing strategy to help you advertise that community. Build a calendar. Let's say you've got a listing in Big Sur this coming up this month, right? Now that means I know I'm going live on November 12th. So I'm going to build my marketing to focus around Big Sur and the surrounding communities, so my footprint in that region becomes larger online and can help guide consumers that are not only interested in the listing, but interested in the area to me as an agent. Talk about ways to, highlight business to business connections within your community, highlight locations, places to go, places to eat, things you love about the regions that you are in, as well as give updates on market conditions. I know that based on the MLS, I would for this region make a video that talks about how in Monterey County, just month over month in the last quarter, we've seen a 50% increase in median sales price. That is huge from a financial standpoint. And let's talk about what that means for your specific situation. Feel free to reach out to me and we can talk about what this could mean for your financial situation, whether you're looking to buy, sell, or invest, right? Find ways to increase that footprint. That way, when that listing launches, you've got content built around that community, and you can drive consumers on your social media channels. Say, hey, check out my website. Go check out the community section for Big Sur. It's full of all this great stuff, plus videos about my most recent listing. And this is where it gets a little bit more complicated, but you can include links. You can also edit the source code to add and embed videos into this space and really make these pages something that becomes super consumer friendly, right? Your consumers can visit your website to find out stuff that's happening in your community and share things that are happening throughout your community. I've been encouraging my agents, especially through shelter in place, to at least quarterly update businesses that are operating within the region, highlight ones that you can share and create some kind of bond with, because those are the kind of things that endear consumers to you and will keep you top of mind with them in between transactions, and keep your website something that they visit in between transactions to really make you something that's more than just a real estate agent to these consumers. And it's something now that is part of your strategy to continue to capture people and work on them in the CRM to move them from potential business range into, active business range. So those are my two big edit spaces, right? Focus on your homepage and what that can do to advertise you as a business, and then come into this space and edit the communities and show off the kind of knowledge you have about the regions that you operate in, and figure out how best you can leverage advertising these communities to better any market activity that you have. And again, the goal being that we want to drive consumers to these pages and use whatever collateral we're putting here across multiple arms. So if we're creating a video, for example, for Big Sur, I host it on my YouTube channel and I post it on my website, and I send out a newsletter or an email blast on Friday telling everybody, hey, check it out. I just updated this new section. I'll have something exciting coming soon there. So I've decided to do a little walk through the community and highlight one of my favorite locations this week. You'll see some more stuff coming out, so stay tuned. And then a couple of days later, you can send that same message to your Instagram sphere, again to your Facebook sphere, again to your LinkedIn, and stretching that one piece of collateral over the course of a week or two, all built to drive those consumers wherever they may find you back to your website to find out more about what your current business opportunity is, right? That's the kind of long-term thinking you want to bake in to the strategy of your website from the beginning. And that's it. I'm going to stop talking, guys. I've been rambling on for a little bit of a while here. Let's go ahead and see if there are any questions in the chat. Also, feel free to unmute yourself at any point and ask away. Has anybody already started working on their website that's already here? Or do you already have a marketing strategy that you're trying to fold your current website into? Looks like everyone's a little gun shy, but not a worry. Feel free to ask me any questions when you receive the recap as well. Or, like I noted a couple of times, these are great opportunities to reach out to your field marketing specialist and really start to develop what is going to be sustainable for you through the next few years. David, you've got your hand up. Feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a simple question. I'm just getting started in real estate. I'm a brand new agent. I think kind of what I'm starting to realize is that my strategy should be to just drive traffic to my website, using all the other, resources that whether it's Instagram, Facebook, just kind of try to funnel everything right to my website.
Yes, and I think the important thing here is don't overwhelm yourself. Build a calendar and build a schedule and fold things into the strategy over time. Start with the website, then incorporate, consistently posting onto, like, for example, an Instagram channel that can also co-post to your Facebook, so you can kill two birds with one stone there. And then once that starts working well, fold in a YouTube channel or fold in your LinkedIn more consistently. It's like baking almost, right? You don't need to throw all of these things in at once, because I think that's a good way to just overwhelm yourself.
Right. Okay. But the main goal is to drive traffic to my website, then I can capture
Correct.
them.
And the reason I always recommend agents start with that website, because it should be 100% complete before or at least 80% complete before we're driving traffic to it. Because the worst thing and one of the most harmful things to your brand is to advertise a channel that isn't regularly updated.
Right. Okay.
If there are any other questions, feel free to unmute and share. Otherwise, I am going to go ahead and post a link to a survey. It will also be available in the recap I send you. They go right to my management team. I don't see them, but if you would like to provide any feedback, constructive criticism, or kudos, they are all always appreciated to help make me a better marketing specialist and instructor to you guys. I appreciate everyone for taking the time to sit in my class. Again, feel free to reply to the recap if you have any questions, or reach out to your marketing specialist. Either or works. This should be something that's fun and exciting and allows you to dig into some of the best parts about your community and some of the cooler parts about what's going on in your market, and find creative ways to share that with your audience. Everyone have a great rest of your week. I know it's obviously been one crazy and interesting one, but everyone take care of yourselves, and I will get you that recap in 45 minutes or less. Otherwise, the class is free. Take care, and I'll see you all next time.
Thank you.